Well, let's get at it.
Bring it
Matchup
on.
of the ages.
I'm so ready.
Two similar movies, two different generations. I just want it to be known that this is a great time for a discussion because Fat Cardinal is in studio always. He never leaves us. And we're finally talking about A Man for All Seasons. And I want to start out by saying this is about St. Thomas More and the beauty of his life, the struggles that he went through, the difficult decisions that he had to make. And it was done in 1966, as you saw right there. So we'll dig into it more, but classic movie and wonderful story about St. Thomas More. What's up with Braveheart? I don't even know what that's about.
Did you say Braveheart?
I said brave
How dare you?
fart.
A Braveheart is every man's favorite movie, usually. And if it's not your favorite movie, you kind of feel self-conscious, like it should be. It's about William Wallace. He's a Scottish patriot, and he's thrust into this war to be the leader of this revolt against this evil king, English king, Longshanks, after the slaughter of his wife, which is not a spoiler because that's literally in like the first third of the movie.
It's the first like 12 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
For the 12 listeners out there who haven't seen it.
Exactly. So, and then, what can you say about Braveheart on the outset? Every man dies, not every man truly lives. That's where that quote comes from. The score is incredibly, like it just evokes masculinity to me. The bagpipes are so cool.
The bagpipes made me cry.
Script is brilliant, written by Randall Wallace. And that's how I remember it because of William Wallace. Yeah. And it's just so smart. Like the way they speak to each other is really smart. Early in the film, his father says to him, he wants to go and fight. Little William wants to go and fight. And I can fight. I know you can fight. But first, like a man, what does it say? I know you can fight, but it's our wits that make us men. You got to use this. He teaches him Latin, teaches him all these languages. He becomes this great warrior. Yeah. And then he uses his Latin skills to get a girl.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Father, any comments on those two movies?
So, one of the connections between those two movies is conscience and swimming upstream. I don't know if we're supposed to
go for
compare
it
and contrast, right? But I hadn't thought of this until right now when you guys were describing this. That one of the crossovers, one of the similarities between A Man for All Seasons and Braveheart is it's one man against oceans of men. Now, at some point, Braveheart's able to recruit some men, but a lot of them betray him. St. Thomas More, he even has a hard time convincing his wife to stay on his side because he could have made a false peace with the English government had he not done this. And so as you were talking, I was just realizing one of the very interesting crossover again is conscience and being willing to stand alone in this. Probably the makers of both movies had to really stand alone in people saying this movie's not going to work, but both were tremendously successful. And so conscience is it, I think.
Yeah, and I think we can just spoil both movies because we have to talk about the ending of A Man for All Seasons, right? We have to bring that up. Yeah. Right. So both movies, they're very similar, right? Yeah. Like it is going to your death for something you believe in.
Yeah.
And that is what makes men's blood boil. Like, and just want to fight for something is like both of these films have that in their ending. But
there was a study that they looked at all these movies where the man dies, and men liked movies where the hero dies much more than women. In this,
really?
They had a whole psychological study, and the women couldn't understand why can't the hero go back home. I mean, think of how many war movies, even Vietnam movies, World War II movies, where the hero actually dies. Men love that. Women think the hero should come back home. And I don't have all the answers to that, but I think one reason is because where women are traditionally kind of focused on the tribe and the family and everything, men are made for a gang, being shoulder to shoulder. We're standing for something bigger than yourself. Doesn't mean women can't do that. It doesn't mean men, obviously men should be focused on their families too. But men also bond in a gang where they're facing outwards and they know they're supposed to die for something bigger than themselves. And that's exactly what you see in both movies, A Man for All Seasons and Braveheart. Both heroes die at the end.
Yeah. Public schools are out of control and homeschooling isn't for everyone. But what about Catholic schools? Even many Catholic schools are drifting away from the faith. Is your Catholic school one of them? The next generation is at risk of forgetting their Catholic tradition and losing their faith. That's why we love the work of the St. John Henry Newman Institute. They help revitalize Catholic schools. They train leaders, give grants for schools in need, and build roadmaps to help schools transform their curriculums. The John Henry Newman Institute is the guide that Catholic schools need, and it's simple. At jhni.org, schools go through a simple application and assessment process and receive a tailored transformation plan so that their Catholic school can embrace tradition and teach the fullness of the faith. Whether you work at a Catholic school or just drop your child off there, make sure your school joins the John Henry Newman Institute network so that you can get peace of mind knowing that your Catholic school is really fully Catholic. Learn more and join us at jhni.org, accelerating the renewal of Catholic education. That's jhni.org, jhni.org.
What A Man for All Seasons says to me is there's no justification for violating a well-formed conscience.
Exactly.
My favorite, I love, this script is very funny too, A Man for All Seasons. Like it's very smart. Both are really well written, and we have to match them up against each other. So I just want to bring up one line I love from this one. His friend is trying to get him to sign this oath, or he's okay with the unlawful marriage, or the immoral marriage, King Henry's marriage, fake marriage, I should say. And he says, just sign it for fellowship. Like, just sign it because we're friends. Like, sign it for fellowship. And he says, and when we die and you go to heaven for following your conscience and I go to hell for denying my conscience, will you join me for fellowship?
Yeah.
That's such a Thomas
deep.
More thing.
And remember,
to say.
and then his friend shoots back and says, "You're saying I'm going to hell?" And St. Thomas More says, "No."
Yes.
He has to explain to him the basics of this man's logic. It wasn't even condemning his friends. It was saying, I can't violate my conscience. Now, I think modernists put hyper emphasis on conscience, but the beautiful thing about that movie is his conscience was founded on divine revelation, on the magisterium, on the Bible, in all of these things. And it's like, how did an entire nation that was Christian turn on a dime against that? And one man, a couple men, obviously Saint Fisher, the bishop, also held this up. But you know, what is, and that's where I think you guys are laymen, I'm a priest. When I gave you my list of favorite movies, I had to pick one. If I had to pick one, I would say Man for All Seasons, because we are in a time in people's jobs, in the church and state, everything that's going on in the world, everyone has to make very difficult decisions where they really have to be willing to stand alone. And I don't know if that has always been the case for Catholicism. I don't think this was the case, say, 19th century England, but it is for us nowadays.
And they made it so easy for him to just sign it and like withhold his own, like sign it and think you're signing something else. Like don't even think, like in your heart, believe that you're not agreeing with it. And the king is like his buddy.
Yeah, he comes and visits him and does all these great things.
You have the king as your friend?
Yeah, you're palling around like, here's my place. Oh, king, how are you?
So how does that bravery compare to Braveheart's bravery, William Wallace? Like they're both brave.
They are. I think there's something more beautiful about St. Thomas More's bravery.
Okay.
Because he's doing this in the right way. I have to come out and say, even though Braveheart, by the way, Father, for the first time I'm 50 years old, 2 days ago? Was it yesterday?
2 days ago, right?
Might have been yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday?
Yesterday was the first time I watched Braveheart.
Oh, you serious?
I've never watched Braveheart. I sat right here, watched Braveheart with Cameron.
Did you cry?
Yeah. I totally cried.
Bagpipes, man.
The bagpipes was just like, it was crazy. And it's one of those, it's a moving movie, right? Movies move us. It was a moving movie. The script, everything was wonderful. I was transported into that movie. And if there was a sword next to me, I'd be like, yeah, let's go get him. But when you reflect on what he did and how they portrayed him in the movie, there's some massive moral issues.
Yes.
With which didn't happen with Man for All Seasons. Period. Like it didn't happen.
Yes. This is where the rubber meets the road.
30 years later. These are 30 years apart, right? These are that's a generation. And Man for All Seasons does it the right way. Is it as sexy and exciting as Braveheart? No, absolutely not. I mean, Braveheart, I don't sit well. For 3 hours though, I was just like, okay, that was amazing. And it kept my attention and it was boom, boom, boom. Fighting scenes were crazy, but you can't make exceptions in film and have someone commit adultery and show the nudity, which I'm glad we had VidAngel because otherwise it would be Bad News Bears. It's like, no, we can't watch that.
If you want to clean up family movie night, go to VidAngel, use code CRUSADE.
I just used that code.
Get a 30-day free trial.
Guys, we thought it was
support
15.
the show.
That's support
great.
The show. We thought it was 15-day free trial. It's actually 30. So double your trial.
It was great because unfortunately, I'd seen those scenes as a younger man, and they're still in my brain. Like that's the thing about a masculine guys. Dudes watching, don't lie to yourself.
Don't lie.
Oh well, I'm sophisticated. It's like
I can see those. No, you can't. Do not watch it.
So there's female nudity. We counted on VidAngel. There's 3 scenes of it. And it just cuts it out. It just cleanly cuts it out. And you don't need them because all you need is a suggestion.
You never do. You never need it.
He gets married to Murren, and then they go out into the forest. It's like, great.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
What do you do when you're married?
What do you do when you're married? Yeah. You have some cupcakes and you go
you go ride a horse.
Yeah, whatever, right? That's great.
Yep. But then it's like
you don't need to show the breasts. You don't need to do it.
Well, and even from a story perspective, this is my issue. Mel Gibson is he's like an idol to me. And I mean that in a
good way,
in an innocent way. I think he's probably one of, if not the most talented director. He's one of the most talented actors.
Yeah.
He's a visionary like no one else. Like he's a genius.
I thought he was super handsome.
Super.
I wanted to give this guy, I want to give this guy a hug. You see that mane of hair he had? Like, this guy was beautiful.
It was amazing.
Mel Gibson, 1996. Like, wow, this guy looks amazing. Yes. Fat Cardinal was blushing. Fat Cardinal was like, this guy looks amazing.
What I want to say to Mel is, brother, I understand the impulse to have the ending, and we're going to talk about the ending where he fornicates with the princess. Because as a storyteller, you're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if her son is Braveheart's son and that's going to stick it to the king. It's like, yeah, that's cool from a story perspective.
But not necessary.
But it's immoral.
Yeah.
And it undermines the character of William Wallace.
Yeah.
Because he had, and what's also kind of enraging to me is they seem to play the same music when he was with Murren and when he was with the princess. It's like your heart's with your wife who died. Yeah. Isn't that why you're doing this?
Yeah.
So are you just sleeping with her because she's pretty?
Yeah.
And you're like
French. Like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. So that is for me where the rubber meets the road for Braveheart. It's a feast of glory of a film. I don't know how else to say it. It's like there's so much good in it. Yeah. So much majesty, so much good masculinity.
But that's what makes it all the more disappointing. That's what makes it all the more disappointing because you realize for the story, Father, we don't have to have that.
Sure.
We don't have to have that. So I guess my question is, because I don't know the right answer, is it acceptable through VidAngel? Even though you know
that's
that
a good question.
You know the fornicating happens. You hear her whisper to the king, it's not the little pansy's baby, it's Braveheart's baby, right? Right? It's William, and so, I mean, I don't know. Father, would you have what's your take on What's your take on Braveheart?
Like, is it now a good, awesome movie because you cut out those things cleanly?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not getting any money from VidAngel Saves, but I would say I'm very thankful that you guys let me use your VidAngel account because I watched several movies I wouldn't have otherwise watched. And some of the ones that we're going to talk about in this series, I do want to promote, but only under VidAngel, just to keep my own conscience clear.
Amen.
So I'm very thankful to you guys. So that's the first thing I want to say. I think if a family watched Braveheart with VidAngel, if say teens were old enough, that's something that one could explain to your teens. You know, this was a moral oversight, or maybe do some research, see if that actually happened with William Wallace in real life. I do have to say, I believe you can probably find a before and after Passion of the Christ morality in Mel's movies. It seems that pre-Passion of the Christ, there was some more raciness, some more violence, some more coloring outside the moral lines. He knows his moral theology very, very well. And it does seem that the movies he made before the Passion of Christ are, for the most part, not with perfect watertight categories, but for the most part, the movies that he made after that are much tighter on the morality. Okay. So
yeah, I think Apocalypto came out after, and that was violent, but it was the family unit was strong. It was
there was
strong
a lot of nudity though.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting.
Was it tribal cultural though?
It's cultural. Okay, but this gets to like, if you're making a documentary and you're filming a tribe that dresses like that, I think that's okay, healthy. It's a documentary.
The old Hays Code said yes. Yeah, it was okay.
Really?
Yeah, they said because.
But if you have modern actors who have to strip down, and then you have a film crew around them, like it's.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It does color outside the lines.
You brought up a good point off air, Cameron, about, okay, if there's a bad scene and the scene is a woman with her shirt off, okay?
Yep.
As a man, I'm not going to go down the boob train, but I'm just saying that that's a tough thing for a man.
Do not get on that train.
I'm not going on that train. Right, I'm married, I have 9 kids. I'm not going on that train. But when you're doing the editing, when you're doing the takes, other people are watching all of this, and
you got to frame up, you got to focus, you got to edit,
it takes away from the dignity of that person, and we're objectifying that woman.
Yeah, and if they have a conversion later, that's still out there for everyone to see for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. So to me, my eyes have been opened as we've gone on this journey together, Cameron, to talk about the Hays Code, talk about the work that we're doing. And I must say that I put my flag down and say, Man for All Seasons did it right.
Yeah.
It's morally amazing. It's a great story. My man Fat Cardinal over here, I don't know if probably can't get him on camera yet, but Fat Cardinal loved Man for All Seasons. He was in it. And I thought the movie, there he is right there, baby, Fat Cardinal. I thought Braveheart, it touched me, it moved me. I got all revved up about it, but morally, I wouldn't let my 14-year-old son watch it. Understood. I wouldn't do it. Even with VidAngel.
I understand.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What do you say, young man?
We're going to talk about Braveheart later, so I just want to say a couple words about A Man for All Seasons. Okay. I love that at the moment that he's betrayed in the courtroom at the end by his protege, basically. He says, what is a profit of man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? He says something to that effect, but he says, but for whales?
But for whales.
You do it for whales? Like, it's ridiculous to do it for the whole world, but you did it for whales.
Yes, I love that line.
What a thing to say. Another interesting thing is he goes to his executioner and says, do not fear, you do the Lord's work, or something like that.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
That's strong.
He also says, I forgive you right readily.
I forgive you right readily.
Man, I didn't remember that.
And actually, a lot of from the trial and him on the chopping block actually came from real life in that movie. They actually still had a lot of the records, and many of the words that he said came directly from his final trial.
Wow. Really?
Yes.
That's why it was so good.
And I believe the line is also true when he says he's ready to go to God, and one of the clerics on the gallows there says to him, "Are you really that sure?" And he said something along these lines: God would not reject someone so ready to see him. There's an antiquated English, but he says God would not reject one so ready to see him. I think blithe is the word they use in Old English, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a great line because it shows that he understands Catholic teaching. That's we don't believe in once saved, always saved, but he also understands he has suffered for the truth, and he's the only man in the kingdom at this point, besides a few others, who are upholding Catholicism against the libido of Henry VIII. That's right. So we can have, St. John the Apostle says we are to have confidence on the day of judgment. And so the fact he had confidence, but not absolute surety, boom, right there is Catholic theology.
When he was in the cell, I'm trying to remember, his wife was asking him to, yeah, that was so hard to watch because his wife was asking him, like, please back down. And
he says that's a worse torture than anything he's received in there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That did hurt more than the execution.
Yes.
But then she has a great moment. They do reconcile before he...
Right at the end of that visit.
And I think it is real life. In real life, I think he was closer to Meghan than even his wife. Because that was, I believe, his second wife. His first wife died. But his heart truly was born, apparently, in real life, much more to his daughter, Meg, than even... I think he loved his wife, but his daughter had his heart, as he said in the movie.
They do.
And we'll talk about A Man for All Seasons more because it's in your top 4, right?
Yeah, I'd say.
So we'll
might say number 1.
Okay, we'll talk about it more. That's great.
Topic, but as long as we're talking about Braveheart, would you let your 14-year-old son see the passion with all that violence in it?
Absolutely, because there's a purpose to the violence. We don't need to see
a noble purpose.
Yeah, there's a noble purpose, and there's been a lot of critics who are like, well, there's no way that in the Passion that was accurate, because it's like, well,
actually, if you read Blessed Emmerich, it's worse in the book than in the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. My 14-year-old son, even 2-3 years ago, has watched the Passion. We've seen it 3 or 4 times together.
I agree with you, by the way. I think that's a good decision.
Yeah. I mean, but Braveheart it's definitely an amazing movie, but morally, I have to put the stamp. I have to say it is poisonous because of the fornication and the nudity, and which stinks because it could have been an amazing, great movie.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to figure out if Wallace ever committed adultery. I tend to think not.
Right.
Because a lot of times Hollywood wants to add things like, what's the name of the movie where the man's in the prison island? Count of Monte Cristo. In the book was actually written by a good Catholic. He didn't have the progeny of that child to be the fruit of adultery, but it is in the movie. And the guy who made the movie thought, well, this was an obvious, let's hit it out of the park. This has to be a relation. The one who wrote it, Dumas, I think, Alexander Dumas wrote it because if he wasn't a good Catholic himself, he at least understood Catholicism. He saw that was a possibility, but he wanted him to be such a morally upstanding man. He didn't write that adultery, at least fornication, into the book, but you find that fornication in the movie.
Which goes back to just an artist going for the more exciting option, but then clouding ideals, clouding truth.
And he even admitted he couldn't understand how Dumas had missed this. And it's like, he didn't miss it. He didn't miss it. This was on purpose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm saying A Man for All Seasons. You'll see it's my number 4 right now.
Whoa.
It's on the list. I say it's better than Braveheart for the reasons we've mentioned.
And your pick, Father?
It's my number 1 that I emailed you guys before we recorded. So it stays at my number 1.
So it's a triple whammy win for A Man for All Seasons. Fat Cardinal is super happy about this.
You can tell.
Yes. If you liked that clip, which I'm sure you did, then check out our other clips. And don't forget to go into the comments section and hype this bad boy. Don't make me get Fat Cardinal. Hype it now.